Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm sorry that we're late today, and this might even be early for clobbering time for a while. I transferred to another job, working night shift, 3:30 to 10. We got out a little early today, and there was absolutely no traffic. So I got home, took a shower, made a pot of coffee, and asked Marcus if he was ready to go live. He's not live yet. There he is.
I had to go. I had to sneeze.
Oh, that's okay. Sneeze away.
I don't want to. I already sneezed. If I can get to the button, I will.
So I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I also didn't want to go late enough to step on other people's streams who stream later. So I'm still figuring out what I want to do. I was talking to Marcus before we went live. I might do a short live every day around 1 o'clock because I have to leave my house at 2. So it'll give me time to do something short and concise.
I can't guarantee I'll be at those. Those are my working
time.
I like to drop a link or two, whether I can be in there all the time or not.
If you're working, don't mess yourself up.
But it depends. If I'm on hold, which I am lately, our knock is those poor guys are working hard. As
normal, Heroic Tales 2 is still on. The Kickstarter campaign is over, and the Fund My Comic campaign is over, but it's still in demand. Waiting for Daniel to finish up on coloring. He just has family issues.
I don't know if you could, the way you want to put out comics. I don't know Daniel at all. I've met Oscar online. I don't know what to tell you. I think you should just. There's got to be a decision after Heroic Tales 2 stuff. Because if you can't get through to him, then
yeah, he just disappears. So
you could contact me more. I mean, I don't color though.
So that's what. So Daniel's just got to submit the last couple of pages, and then I already started rewriting the script, and I'll start sending it over for lettering this weekend. So there we go. There we go.
If you guys want to see a preview, and if we can see this, I sent this to you in DM.
I'll bring it up on. I'll bring it up on.
And see, you could tell me in front of people if you like it or not. That's fine. I'm not going to get. I do work on it.
So this is Marcus Kellergrew.
So I know that it's a little light because I pencil in blue, so it's not so. I pencil on my layouts in blue, so that I don't smudge it like a crazy person. Then I end up drawing it over and over again.
First off, I gotta acknowledge the daily blessing. Thank you, Zach. I actually stress out until I get the blessing. Can I have a wrench? I'm pretty stingy with the wrenches. I'm pretty stingy. I think I only have 3 mods.
You don't have too many mods, no.
Yeah. Hey, and Tony, how you doing, Tony?
Hey guys.
Hey Tony, how you doing?
So we're filibustering all people.
It's early for Tony. What does he care? He got to have dinner and have coffee, and he's all set.
Actually, I had a day off today, so I already ate. So.
Oh, good for you.
So what are we looking at? We're looking at.
So, hey, go ahead.
Good, Marcus. You tell us. You drew it.
I did it one way, kind of. I knew I was taking a chance on that, John. That's why I didn't mind when you wanted to change it back. That's fine. It was a very Ditko thing I saw, and that's why I did that. So we have the jackalope going from through the veil. That's going to be inked and penciled lightly. It's hard to tell for you now. That's why I did this in dark. So the dark is like the regular Earth, and the other dimension is they're going to go through, and you can see it's going to bisect the two characters. So the public eye is watching the jackalope jump through, and he follows the next panel almost right away. That's why the gutter I have is a little thinner. It means the time is faster.
Right, so this is going to be a 2-page story, right?
Yeah.
2-page story, no words,
No words.
all storytelling. It's entitled
Yeah,
Antelope, and
I
I'm
feel
hoping,
honored that John let me do one with no words.
yeah,
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the next panel you see is he's in all the tall trees. So you see the trees way in the background. I'm working on getting more depth to my panels. And as much as the public eye can look surprised because he has had his mask on.
Right.
I mean, maybe we can make the eye smaller or larger. I mean, we could discuss that.
No,
it's always the same. Yeah.
He's not like one of these rich connected superheroes. So he makes like a homemade costume.
Right. Well, I thought maybe with the mat. I was just thinking about it. I wasn't going to do it. I was just thinking about it. And so there's the trees. And it's funny, I'm drawing these trees, and I can draw trees just fine. And I'm going through this thing, and I see something in a Thor comic from 1977, 75. Those trees look perfect for this. So weird, 1975 Thor comic. And then the next panel, he's going to see the alien.
Don't tell anybody what they're going to.
The next panel is him seeing stuff right here. And then the other ones are blank. He's running in that one. And the last one is a surprise, a complete surprise.
Right. So what this is this is going to be a 2-page wordless story. It's kind of a cute little story with poinsettia and the public eye. It's going to. Well, what I want to do is send it to Pete Sametti, so maybe he'll publish it. It came out on a Wednesday.
Well, we have it done. I really want to get it done.
So
it'll be on a line.
If Pete accepts it, it'll be published first, but it's after the story that Marcus is drawing for chronologically. So I'll put it in Heroic Tales when it actually makes sense.
And in today's storytelling, they don't like to do these panels. They start off with this and then they layer the panel. Like Brian posted the other day. They layer the panels out. And if you're really good at it, it doesn't matter. But Steve Ditko didn't do that. And since this is the public eye and it's based on the Steve Ditko thing, we are doing it just like, well, I'm very comfortable with this way anyway. We're doing it just like this, panel to panel. If we want to make it fancy, we'll discuss that.
For those of you who don't know what Mark is talking about, Brian Bow of Wolf and Batsy fame, he posted a page and he says it's
do that more often. It's interesting.
And it's 4 or 5 panels, well-drawn panels. But the thing is, there's just a line. There's no gutters. And my biggest thing is all the panels had the same color scheme. It was all like a brown panel.
Yeah, merged together.
Yeah, with Batman talking to somebody in a red dress. So it was brown panel, Batman in black, red dress, and all the panels. And then without the gutters to clearly separate them, you shouldn't make the reader work too hard to differentiate the panels unless that's the intent. And I don't think that's the intent. Well, sometimes you want the reader to really, but you have to be conscious of that. So I agree with Brian that
you'll see the more modern, even the guys my age, where they're more modern, like the Ditko, Kirby stuff is all laid out real simple. It's what's in the panel that's more important, like the Jim Shooter style. I like to move the camera a little more than that, but you'll see them. Joe Kubert layered the panels, but he was Joe Kubert, right?
Right.
And so he would layer one on top of the other, like how they do it now. But you still have to have this as a basis so that you can read it. And some of the guys forget that. I think they get into this is it's a Howard Chaykin problem. This is so exciting.
This is the panel. This is the panel.
Yeah, this could have used this could have used the gutters.
Right. So, but I mean, we got a bunch of people watching in the chat. Do you agree with Brian, Marcus, and myself? Like,
it's so the artist, the penciler, didn't really do a bad job of moving around to the end. The camera is great. It's your point where they colored everything exactly the same. So they all merge together, and he even has a gutter on the bottom. But if it wouldn't have mattered if he just used the white gutters like the old days.
Well, now that I'm looking at it, not from memory, it's even worse than I remembered because I thought it was all the same room. But in that second panel, it's a window.
It's a different room,
right?
Yeah, no.
They could have colored each wall a little bit different,
But if he's a fan, if it's like the Wayne Manor, that wall could be a spot wall, like with a slightly different color than the other walls. like they do in fancy homes, and then it would have solved it. The coloring could have solved this whole problem, but they didn't care, And but of course, if he didn't feel like he had to make it modern, if it was 1972, that wouldn't have been a problem because nobody would have done that. They wouldn't have thought of it, really.
I do like the art, though. I mean, it's reminiscent of like Paul Dini's Batman.
Batman Adventures.
And there's nothing wrong with the art. The artist did nothing wrong, except not put gutters.
But
then there's something behind it that I don't know if maybe we need both pages to see what's behind it.
Something's behind it. See, what they did was, they had the panel where he's looking at his parents' picture in the first panel, and they insetted inside that whole thing. So he drew his idea as his whole room, and he makes that almost a small inset, which wasn't needed to be done. And that's why it confuses. If he just puts a white line in between, even if he outlines this as a white line separately, does the same thing, it would have worked better. But, who knows?
The editor should have caught this.
Yeah, well, good luck. I wonder what issue that was, and I wonder who the editor was.
Well, it doesn't look like typical Batman costume either.
That was the Batman Adventures, the last years of the animated comics.
Oh, okay.
Like that. So I don't think it's brand new, but it's got to be early 2000s, mid 2010 or so. I don't know. I look at all that stuff. It was interesting that even if Brian puts something that I don't necessarily agree with him, it's a learning thing to see what another artist says. He should do more. He should post more stuff like that if it bothers him.
What's funny is Brian sent me a message today, and because I'm working a different shift, I don't get to communicate as much as I'd like to with people. But Tonic Bowl put up a tweet that said he just found his script for Saving the World #1, his original script. He goes, and he reread it for the first time in years, and it's so different than what actually is printed.
That's interesting.
He says, so he's thinking about making it. So Brian said, why don't you make a video explaining that? Because Brian did the same thing. He has scripts from early Wolf and Batsies that are completely different. And I've said it but my original script for Heroic Tales #1 was completely different. It was basically, this is my world, and all the superheroes there. I don't want to show the script because it'll give away too much, but it is so different. That's kind of funny. See your first draft versus the finished product, how it's.
So my question is, when is Tony going to write a comic?
Yeah, Tony, when's your comic coming out?
I haven't really written one. Maybe I should. Maybe I should.
Available, Tony. I'll draw you a comic.
It's hard for a comic to come out if you don't write one.
Never really sat down and thought about it. Maybe I should. That's a good thought.
You could do a pulpish thing. You're into the pulps. I love that stuff. Yeah, I'm the only person I think around this in this thing that can draw overcoats. So there you go. Me and maybe guys who work for Pete Cementi, right?
Yeah, you got to draw overcoats and hats.
And hats.
Yeah.
45 ACPs and cutlasses, sabers.
Yeah,
there you go. I feel like I can try anything, to be honest with you, so it doesn't bother me.
The Public Eye's hat. Perfect.
Well, I own a hat like the Public Eye, so and I get reference for it, so I should be able to. And I studied with Will Eisner; he could draw a hat.
Yeah.
You studied with Eisner?
The only people who could draw those hats good are me and Will Eisner. That's what he said one time.
You studied with Will Eisner?
Oh yeah, for 3 years.
Nice. What's he like? What was he like?
He was such a nice guy. He came up every other week because he was coming up from Florida. He said School of Visual Arts, and this is the late '80s. Early on, when he lived in White Plains, New York, he was there every week. And the second guy, his teaching partner was Andre LeBlanc, who was the ghost for Flash Gordon and the Phantom, and he did the first illustrated Bible for kids, like comic book looking Bible.
Oh yeah, the one from the 40s, done by DC
he did. There was another one, and Will was just a really nice guy, and he tried to run the class like his own studio because he didn't really believe that you give art like grades A, B, C, D, and nobody did any work because these guys were basically high school students because they all came from high school music and art in the city, and they never really matured out. So that was a struggle. But if you did most of your and he would do like a 2-page story and then do a comic strip and do a how-to. He was big on how-to because he made all his money on PS Magazine, how to clean your gun for all his armies. I mean, he did it, and Murphy Anderson and then Joe Kubert, and he created it. So you did a how-to book. I did like how to program your VCR one time. He took that one home because he doesn't know how to do his VCR. This is the 80s, right? And it was just nice to see him. He would get his new teeth and be like, "Oh, Will's got new teeth this year." It was just a shame that not everybody really gave him the respect he deserved.
Did he ever talk about the spirit?
Oh yeah, he did talk about the spirit. He talked about that. He wanted the spirit to be just a detective, like no mask, the hat, the overcoat, but the syndicate that he was working for wanted him to look more like a superhero. Superheroes are hot. Now, after all, Will turned down Siegel and Schuster, right? It was like we regret that.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that being offered Superman and then saying no?
Everybody turned him down. Everybody turned them down. He thought it was crap. They all thought it was crap. So that's why the spirit got a mask and he got gloves because that made him a superhero. And then I guess the spirit had superpowers, and he just wanted to walk that line between like cartoony and like action. And he really talked more about the graphic novel, making your epic. Like everything's an epic. Like we're trying to bring comics out of the gutter into regular. It's literature. It's really literature, and you see that in all his graphic novels after the Spirit in the 70s and 80s. So he did early graphic novels, Contract with God, all that stuff. And to the end of that, 1988, he would go outside and sketch people to get their like how they sit, how they walk, and all that to end. I remember one story that he always used a Winsor Newton brush and a 102 nib, and he's walking the nib, and the nib handle broke. Because what am I going to do? So he took the nib and he put it on the end of the brush, and he was so proud of himself because he was still a child of the Depression that he saved the money instead of buying another $7 handle for the 102. So there's a lot of he was really a nice guy. I think about him whenever I draw anything, storytelling wise. He was very detailed in his storytelling.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of a better teacher, man. You're very lucky.
I had him. I had Gene Colan. I had Joe Orlando, Harvey Kurtzman. I had Harvey Kurtzman for a semester. He was sick though. It wasn't like prime Harvey Kurtzman. Sal Amendola, a couple of the Erwin Hasen. A couple of these guys also taught at the Kubert School. Yeah, it didn't get me work afterwards, but that's how art is, though. I don't think I was ready after school completely. Maybe like 2 or 3 years after. And then the industry changed to image and all what I like to draw. I'm out, you can only show work so many times. And I'm like, that's it. I'm publishing my own comic. I work with other people.
You actually could draw feet. And not everything with pockets and chrome arms and all that.
John should appreciate this. So I'm talking to my writer one day, and I'm talking about what's going on and what type of characters Cable, right? What people like and stuff, and what characters they're creating. He goes, it's just like Lionel, because we met the meeting with this guy, Lionel Torres, who published his own comic because he had 1 billion image comic style characters, and Rob could publish one, I can publish one. And that was like, and by the second issue, he owed people money and it was a mess. It was just like the late 90s, just like the middle 90s. Right now, it's the exact same stuff, except it's online. And it's meaner than it was because it wasn't online then because there's no social media, so nobody could yell at each other.
Well, they yelled at each other, but we didn't hear about it. Yeah.
We didn't hear about it. It was in the back rooms, like in real rooms, not like in a virtual room.
So we got at least 20 people watching. I like to filibuster until people get here. So again, Marcus was showing art from a 2-page story that I would like to submit to Pete Cimetti.
Can't show anymore. That's it. I can't show anything else.
Surprise. It'll be the first public eye story published, but it's really like the 4th or 5th story because you'll see why. But anyway, I got like 3 public eye stories locked and ready to go, Marcus. I love this character. The public eye, he will make an appearance in an already established comic book in comic book stores sometimes next year.
That'll be cool.
Drawn by Renzo.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I can't wait to see Renzo draw.
And
We'll do such a good job.
Yeah. Let's see if I think I showed it to you already, didn't I?
Oh yeah, I saw it quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Where is it? So this is the inked page. I can spoil this because nobody's going to guess what comic. The reason why I'm being squirrely on it is I don't know 100% if everybody's on board. You know, the more people involved, the more things could go wrong.
Yeah, it's a tough thing.
So this
I
is
saw this. Yeah,
the splash page. I can't make it bigger, but you can see the public eye there. He's on the bottom right by the woman's.
Is that Cthulhu?
No, but it's an eldritch monster.
close enough.
Cthulhu's not a lobster, you know. But
well, after they defeat that one, they can have a cookout. That's awesome. Get some butter going.
You could see through it. It's like ethereal. You know. But anyway, I that's all I could show. But that's all of my friends' characters. And speaking of my friends' characters, issue 2 of my friend's comic.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I should get that book.
Marshall Strong.
I'll wait till you publish it so you make the money.
Well, I make money. What does that mean? But I'm reading through it already. I'm just like, have to change this, have to change that, and I'm gonna make a joke of somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, Marshall Strong, I read that comic book about you." He goes, "Oh yeah, they're bootlegs." You know, I can't help it. I'm a popular character. People keep putting.
As long as it's okay with the creator, he doesn't mind. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, well,
I love that name, Marshall Strong. Well, I like Tom Strong, so
right.
And I really like Captain America type characters, right?
Wait,
I mean, I made my own.
It's funny that you said that. Wait, there's a flying Mary Sue. Yes, Renzo.
I'll be back in a second. I'm going to get more coffee. Okay.
Good. Renzo drew Mary Sue flying, and I said, Marcus, Mary Sue can't fly. I mean, Renzo, Mary Sue can't fly. So he drew debris. So she's standing on debris. Let's see. Yes, you can see it. So she's standing on debris. I'll bring it back. So he drew like the crater going up. So she's standing on debris. Mary Sue cannot fly. Yeah. So yes, she cannot fly. She has one power and one power only to alter probabilities. I'll take it back. She has 2 powers. She can alter probabilities, but she's reluctant to do that. And she could give people she has major alter probabilities, like she could reach into the past and change, like the butterfly effect. Or in the short term, she could make the impossible possible. So like you could walk down the street and like all of a sudden somebody drops a pencil and it rolls and you'll trip over it and fall and things like that. She can't make the impossible possible. Like she can't just make that pencil turn into a butterfly or a pigeon and then fly into your eye. But like she could make it so that like a water pipe just happens to burst and things like that. So that's she was my version of the Scarlet Witch. So we're just gonna wait for Marcus to come.
I'm back. Sorry, I just wanted to get the coffee before we get started.
Most females
appreciate that.
And
well, yeah, one here. That's 2 powers.
Right. And I got my cards today. I didn't get a chance to check to see if there's any mistakes. But this time, if there's any mistakes, it's on me. But I was hoping to get the Mary Sue card to show everybody. But I'll look for it. But Mary Sue, in Villains and Vigilantes, when I stat her out, she has 3 powers. She has heightened intelligence. She has psionics, which is the probability control, and then another version of psionics, which is hexing.
It's very powerful. I read the story. She's very powerful.
Yeah,
she doesn't know what to do with it yet.
In the first story, she doesn't know she has powers.
She
the second story, she figures out she has. Well,
that story is the key. You guys got to get Heroic Tales too. If anybody has not, who's watching on Twitter or anything, because that story is the key story to go forward of this in this universe.
Right. It explains.
Very important.
It explains a lot without being an info dump, I think.
No, it's not. I don't feel it's an info dump. And it really reads like that, like Marv Wolfman or Len Wein type of story, and it's a story. I mean, beginning, middle, end, and with and it doesn't end. You go wait for the next issue. You're waiting, but it's not a cliffhanger either. So,
every
yeah, I
issue
think it's your best story. I mean, I haven't read any newer stuff.
Issue 3 is going to it's going to finish where this one starts, but this one ends.
That's what I'm working on. That's the best story.
I think that's what
I'll be
I
honest
want to do for now on. Like, that's what Marvel Comics used to do. You read an entire Avengers story. Once in a while, they'd say to be continued.
Yeah, if it's really big time story, like Count Nefaria or something.
But like, I don't want to, unless I could, I could have like Renzo do it like a month or two apart, like just draw it all.
If you had a bi-monthly book, you could have a lot of cliffhangers.
Right, but I feel it's a big ask to make people wait that long for a story.
You guys are coming out. You and Vaughn Coleman are coming out fairly quickly, so
yeah. So anyway, let's get to this. So now we're going to do It's Clobbering Time. This week I wanted to talk about wizards. So I figured we'd take like the most famous wizards of myth, legend, and literature. So we got Merlin, we got Gandalf, and we got Dumbledore as the three like iconic pointy hat, long beard wizards. And then I thought I'd throw in Harry Dresden, the modern urban detective wizard, and then Constantine, a modern urban, maybe not a detective wizard, but whatever. But I specifically excluding Doctor Strange and Dr. Fate because we already did them, and they're more superhero wizards, if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't consider Harry Dresden a superhero wizard. And even though John Constantine is in the Justice League Dark, I don't consider him a superhero wizard.
What about Mandrake?
Who?
Superhero wizard? Mandrake from Lee Falk?
He's a
Mandrake
superhero
magician.
Okay.
He's a superhero wizard, yeah. So there we go. So again, I'll throw out the call if anybody wants to talk. Join us. It's always an open invite on It's Clobbering Time, and that's the whole purpose. More people, the better. So
I'll take Merlin.
I was just about to say, I hope you could take Merlin. So again, tell us about Merlin.
Okay, Merlin.
I'll bring up the picture.
Merlin was created in 1130 AD by Geoffrey of Monmouth, a cleric a Christian cleric from Monmouth, Wales. He was created, his first appearances in something called the Prophetae Merlini, which was published in 1130. His real name is Merlinus Ambrosius, and he is his mother was a succubi. His father was, they didn't really say who his father was, but he has strong magic running through his veins. Probably best known for his inclusion in the Arthurian legends of such people like Geoffrey. What the hell's his name? Who's the guy that wrote the Once and Future King? I know
Tom Mallory wrote the Le Morte Arthur.
Yeah, Le Morte, Sir Thomas Mallory. Thank you. And he appears through most of it, but then he disappears towards the end. Now, a lot of people, that was sort of filled in by Mallory as him being forever sealed up or killed by a student, the Lady of the Lake, after having fallen in love with him. So that's, some say that there's some other people say he went off with Arthur in the Isle of Avalon, ready to come back when Britain needed him most. And he performed a series of prophecies foretelling events to come. He was an advisor and a mentor to the young king. He very probably the most popular magician in history, really, in historical fiction and in popular fiction. He's been in countless TV shows, countless films, animated by Disney. Jack Kirby used him in the Demon, where he ties him in with the demon Etrigan being his half brother. And there you go.
Yeah. I find it interesting because I never even realized it, but you're right. He does, throughout the middle part of the story, he disappears.
Yeah. Right. And it was later writers that filled that in. But yeah, apparently Geoffrey of Monmouth sort of left that ambiguous when he first published that.
Yeah, it's funny because Gandalf disappears in the middle of the story. You know.
Yes.
And then Dumbledore is kind of, he's big at the beginning of Harry Potter and he's big at the end of Harry Potter, but in the middle he's still around, but he doesn't play as big as a part.
Mhm.
I wonder if that's if Tolkien and Rowling did that on purpose.
Probably.
That's what wizards do. You know these kind of wizards. Dresden and Constantine are different types of wizards, but I'm just throwing them in here. So let's what are Merlin's biggest feats?
Well, let's see. Oh, this one's good. In the early on in his career, in fact, one of the first things he did, the King Vortigern asks Ambrosius Merlin to interpret the meaning of a vision that he had, in which two dragons fought, one red and one white. Merlin replies that the red dragon meant that the British race, the white dragon, the Saxons would be victorious. A long prophetic sequence forms the body of work relating to many of the wars that occurred afterwards. He also, let's see, he also, trying to read here. He helped discover Arthur. He helped facilitate Arthur's birth by helping his father, King Uther Pendragon, seduce a married woman who in turn gave birth to Arthur Pendragon. He then rescued the kid, put him with Sir Kay, mentored him, and then when he was of age, he revealed all, did the whole sword and the stone thing. I mean, it's pretty much known, like the story of King Arthur.
Right.
Lady
Grange. She was the wife of Arthur.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And one of the things that Mallory did was he wrote that Morgana Le Fay is his half sister. I mean, Arthur's half sister. So yeah, but then so it like I said, the more writers add to it, the more stuff sort of contradicts with the other. But I think the most popular version of the character was the one that was created by Mallory.
Right. So
yeah.
He's not known as fireballs and lightning bolts and raising an undead army or anything like that. It's supposed to be prophecy and wisdom.
Yeah, but he does raise the dragon's breath, which allowed Uther to lay with the Lady Igraine.
Right.
Which almost killed him, if I'm not mistaken. He had to rest for about 6 or 7 days. But yeah, he's not known for like Gandalf, lightning bolts, fireballs, this or that. He's mostly a manipulator. He's mostly an advisor, a learned man. Sometimes I've read stories where he was sort of he was always he was like neutral good. He was not what I would consider great, like a nice person, like a hero, but there was always something manipulative about it. Because
he was a manipulating demon,
Yeah. So I mean, most people think of him like the character from the '66 Disney. Sort of, and he is not that. He is definitely not that. I almost got a sense like he was trying to help his visions come about by manipulating people and things.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
To create it, and he knew. So
let me just absorb that for a second, because I never thought of that, but that is kind of brilliant. So what, he would get these prophetic dreams, or do you think just make pronouncements, say they were prophecies, and then try to get them to happen?
I think he would get the dreams because he knew that he was going to get betrayed by the Lady of the Lake, Nimue. That she was going to learn his secrets, his magic secrets, and she was going to betray him and seal him away. But he allowed it to happen. He walked into it. He knew what was going to, So yeah.
According to some writers, The Lady of the Lake was Vivian,
Mhm.
and Nimue was somebody else who seduced him, betrayed him, and then trapped him in a stone.
Exactly. Different stories to the tale there. But I almost saw him as a slave to fate. Like he knew what he was fated to become. He knew what was the future, and he could not or would not divert from that. Like
Well,
he just.
I read up on Merlin, and one of the stories I read years ago was I forget who said this, but it was definitely a later writer that they said that Merlin aged backwards. He was born an old man, and he's progressed, and then I interpret that as he's experienced time backwards. So that's how he knows the future, because he's already experienced it. Basically, he's talking backwards to everybody else because the arrow of time for him is in another direction.
Possibly. You know,
I just like to think weird things like that. So that's
I see Merlin as an old guy, you know, like you probably do, just an old man with a long white beard and a robe. You know, that's how I like to see him.
my favorite depiction of Merlin is still the Borman film.
Yeah, Nicole. I forgot the name of the. Oh, holy crap! Is that a reproduction of the of Excalibur?
Yeah.
Oh man!
I had that by now. Yeah.
Be careful.
That's how much I love this movie that I went and I bought.
Oh, Excalibur. I remember that movie.
That is sweet,
That was
John.
some movie.
That is so cool.
There's a little line sticking out over here that stabs me. I gotta get that.
Does it say Rex Quandam, Rex de Futuris on the
I
handle?
would like you to know that I am the rightful king of England.
There you go.
Do you want to be the king of Million? Really? The way
I'll
it's
go
going?
over there and start sorting out some problems
Really?
now. Believe
Yeah,
me.
I think so. You better get that sword going.
You have to fight Hellboy for that title.
I would like to make this statement right now. Strange women laying in swords is a basis for a system of government. So, Merlin's biggest foes, obviously, is Nimue, Morgana Le Fay, and then Modred. Right?
Yes. But like, if you go into the comics, his foe is his father in the comics, which happens to be Belial, I believe.
Right.
And his half brother Etrigan. So I mean, you have that.
Yeah. That's the comic book history. I'm thinking of more like the legendary.
Yeah, well, those are the main ones that he fights. Yeah, or his main antagonists, as you would say. Yeah, to his he very protective of Arthur. Very much, he warned Arthur against marrying. The one time he tried to deviate from the path, which is weird, was when he tried to warn Arthur about Guinevere. Thank you. Saying that she wasn't a good fit for him. She was in love with another man, but that was like the only time he tried, and even then, it came to nothing. He married her. We all know what happened there, you know. So it was interesting. Like he was protective of Arthur. He loved Arthur, but at the same time, he was very manipulative of Arthur. He was manipulative of a lot of people. He, like I said, I don't know, what would you call him? Chaotic neutral, chaotic good. What would you call a person like Merlin? You know.
Eric the Guapo, I thought you were starting at 8. I thought everybody knew. I'm now working. My job set me to another. My boss set me to another job, so I'm working 3:30 till 10 for who knows how long. It could be a week. It could be a year. So that's how it is in construction. I don't know. So it's clobbering time is going to be when I get home. I'm going to say 11:30 from now on. But today, because of the holiday, they basically shut the job down for the 3 days.
They should probably shut it down every Friday to get you guys home.
Well,
I mean, I know that they're not going to, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, so Eric the Guapo, I apologize, but I guess I'll make it clearer. I'll make announcements on my channel itself. So we're talking about Merlin. So Merlin is the prototype wizard. Like I'm sure somebody in the chats or whatever could come up with a wizard from before Merlin. Like I was looking at Greek mythology. Greek mythology doesn't have too many wizards.
I
Matter of
don't
fact, I
remember
don't
any
think it has
myself.
any wizards. It has sorceresses, but it doesn't seem to have wizards. Like, like
You're right, like Circe and stuff, but no male lizards.
Well, there's no Norse mythology kind of does though.
Norse mythology. Are there any wizards? But same with Norse mythology. There's
Yeah,
plenty
I just remembered something. In a legend I read, he was responsible for the creation of Stonehenge.
yes,
Yeah,
No,
and
Norse
he's
mythology.
tied into the old druids. And some people say that I read some. I believe it or not, I do some research that he was inspired by like a druidic tribal leader.
Yeah, actually, that's where he got the name. In fact, it says
Like
over here. Yeah, he got the name. Shoot, where is he? So much stuff here.
Daniel was a court wizard for Nebuchadnezzar, but he was also. I didn't know he was a wizard. I knew that he could interpret dreams. I knew that was Daniel's big thing. Was he was it Pharaoh? Was it Nebuchadnezzar? Yeah, it was Nebuchadnezzar, and he interpreted dreams. But I guess that makes him a wizard too, because Merlin's biggest power seems to be prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
prophecy. That's it. Yeah.
Solomon. Solomon was a wizard. One of my favorite wizards of all history. How could I have forgotten Solomon? So maybe we'll talk about Solomon too in this. How could I have forgotten about Solomon until
we're talking about wizards. We're not necessarily pitting them against each other, are we?
Well, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of them.
At the end, we'll have a little bit of a battle between the wizards.
I mean, I have from my own research, I have an idea who wins.
But. Okay, so who do you want to talk about, Marcus?
I guess I'll talk about Gandalf. Not that I'm the biggest expert, but when I did,
I'll mansplain over you.
Like you probably know more about Gandalf than I do, but I think you know way more about Dumbledore. If you don't mind, John.
Sure.
Because Gandalf, to me, like, Tolkien derived the name from a dwarf. And basically, you were saying, well, there's nothing in Norse, but like Gandalf is kind of like Odin,
right?
And that's like the Tolkien based him on. And he's very powerful, of course, like way more powerful than you think in the Tolkien, especially early on. You think he's just the old wizard, and he kind of manipulates everybody to get the ring. But then when he comes back and he's Gandalf the White, he's tremendously powerful. He's one of the last wizards of Middle Earth, and so he was more aged and gray, and he's leaning on the staff, and and they gave him the Ring of Power, called Nehra, the Ring of Fire, and Tolkien explicitly links Gandalf to this element of fire later in the same story and the same essay. He was in Valinor. Gandalf was a Maya and named Olorin. And he was one of the people of the Vala Manwë. I might be mispronouncing some of these.
No, so far you're right on.
Oh, really? Oh, good. I can read. And I know some of this, but it's easier. And and he was the wisest one. There was no one close to him. And he studied under Nienna. And they decided to send the wizards, the Ishtari, across the Great Sea to Middle Earth to assist those who opposed Sauron. So they started, Olorin initially begged to be excused, declaring he was too weak and feared Sauron, but Manwë replied that there's all more reason for him to go. So he was working on Sauron very early on. And, it's just it's a typical Tolkien thing where he goes, it's each step. Now he's in Middle Earth. He revived Middle Earth and early in the Third Age. And they keep getting, and he hid the ring at that point, but his relationship with Saruman, the chief wizard, was strained, and they had to keep. I don't know what else you could add on to any time.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you.
Get too detailed.
I was waiting for you to stop, and I'll add stuff, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay. So they had the evil presence of necromancer, the Dol Guldur was Sauron. That's what Gandalf thought, and so they came, that was the big response for that. And, He gets all the way till he meets to what everybody reads. Since I'm not an expert in Silmarillion, I know more about the Hobbit.
So I'll start with.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Gandalf is an angel, a Maya.
Right.
In Arda, which is Middle Earth, the world. Middle Earth is just the continent that we know, but the Arda is the world, Earth. There's one god, Iluvatar, and then there's 14 sub gods. So there's the prime god, then there's greater gods, then there's like demigods, like Maya, angelic beings, and that's what Olorin was. Olorin was under the umbrella of Nienna, the goddess of mercy, pity, and tears. And she wept for everything in Middle Earth. She felt the pain of everything in Middle Earth, and she felt pity for it and suffered. And Olorin was one of her guys. And Olorin was considered the wisest of all the Maya. But he wasn't particularly powerful, pity and everything like that. So when the elves woke up in Middle Earth, according to the unfinished tales, Olorin and why can't I think of his name? Saruman, whose a real name I can't remember.
Yeah.
But they went to Middle Earth in their full power and majesty, and it backfired. It scared the elves, and some of them fled away, and that's how Morgoth took them and corrupted them into orcs. So the Valar, as much as they're gods, they're kind of stupid. So they learned from that. So they pulled back Olorin and whatever his name is, Saruman, whose real name I can't remember. And then years and years, thousands upon thousands of years later, when Morgoth is defeated, Satan basically, his lieutenant Sauron is now the bad guy. We all know Sauron. So Sauron is building power again, and they send out Saruman because he's been to Middle Earth before. But they said these 5 wizards that are going to go, they're going to go in a human form, in a less flashy, because last time they came in their full glory, they terrified everybody. We learned. So you're going to go as advisors. You're going to go subtly. You're going to go to inspire, not to take over. We ultimately want the humans to, because the age of the elves is ending. We want the humans to inherit the earth, and everything should be by human hands. But you'll be their guider. So he said he didn't want to go. He was scared, and they said that's why you're gonna go. And then right, and then Yavanna, the goddess of all the trees, sent Radagast and the blue wizards, Rostromo and Alastar. They went into the east, and we don't have any stories of them. And they went, and basically they think that Sauron was super powerful in the east, and they just caused riots and so that when Sauron came to the west, he wasn't as powerful as he could have been because of the Blue Wizards' machinations. And then there's stories that the Blue Wizards were probably going to be the bad guys in the sequel to the Lord of the Rings that Tolkien abandoned. But that's
so. Is Saruman an angel too?
Yes, the Istari, the 5 wizards are all angels.
They're all Istari. That's right.
So
he knew some of it, but my knowledge of everything is more surface than everybody else's because I studied. When you're drawing a lot, you don't read a lot. It's a mix, right? Like I read all this stuff on the train to school back and forth, but to really study like you guys did, I'm trying to draw. So it's I apologize for that.
So one of the gods is Aule. Aule is the smith god. He's the builder. He's the god of smiths and everything, and he created the dwarves. Now he had an assistant named Myron, the Blessed. Myron becomes Sauron. He turns, he gets corrupted, and Sauron means the abhorred. He also had another assistant, Saruman. That's why Saruman was an assistant to the smith god. That's why he's chopping down trees and everything like that. That's why it's kind of Tolkien's way of saying that the machinery and industry is easy to turn bad. So Gandalf, remember, his patron god was pity and mercy. And what does he tell Frodo? And what does he, when he goes, why didn't Bilbo kill Gollum when he had the chance? He says, mercy. He had mercy on him. And what won the day?
Mercy.
Mercy.
Right, I remember.
I just love that he serves the goddess of mercy, and mercy is what ends up saving all of Middle Earth. It's just so brilliant. But anyway, I'm getting carried away. But what can he do? What feats does Gandalf do? He can basically do anything.
Anything. Yeah, he's very powerful, especially when he became Gandalf the White.
Right. He is, first off, all prophecy. He was there with all the Maya, all the Valar, and I forget there's a term for all of them, but they all sang the world into creation. So he participated in singing the world. So he knows all of human history. But then when you become bodied, it's almost like waking up from a dream. So he can remember his spirit life back in Valinor and even before Valinor as if it was a dream. So he knows the future, but he knows the future the way you could recall a dream, if that makes sense. So he's helping in ways that he remembers a flawed vision of, a dream of the future. So he has prophecy. What could he do? He could literally do anything. He could raise mountains. But he can't, because he's given not to be flashy. His most powerful bill is inspiration and inspiration and prophecy. So he tells, if you notice, he only does mighty works when there's no witnesses. When he goes to Weathertop, he fought all 9 Nazgul, and Aragorn said there was lightning shooting upwards, and he defeated all 9 Nazgul, all of the 9 Ringwraiths, all the Dark Riders, whatever you want to call them. That's how powerful he was. And he fought the Balrog. A Balrog is the same as him. Balrogs are Mayas who fell and embraced fire. Each Balrog looks a little different, but that one is so cool looking in the movie. They're fire demons. Valakora, I think it's called. And he fought it for days. They went into the future. They went into the past. And when he was killed, he went beyond time and space. And all Maya, all elves, all Maya, everything but humans and dwarves we don't know about. We don't know about their spiritual side. But they die. Their spirit lives on. And then he got sent back. And when all Maya could recreate a new body at will. So when he came back, it was almost like, I just woke up. I need to remember everything. And he was given the authority that Saruman should have had. But basically, he could have went into Mordor and challenged Sauron himself. They were both Maya. But and I think at this point, this is my speculation, that when you left Valinor, you came. I'm just going to make this sound real simple, and I could be wrong. If anybody wants to challenge me on this, be my guest. This is the way I interpret it. You basically come with a bag of magic, and the more you use the magic, the bag empties and it never refills. So and I think that's why all the Valar don't come to Middle Earth too much. They stay in Valinor and stay at top power in case they need to. But when you leave the spirit world, I think even Sauron was getting less and less powerful over time. Sauron lost his ability to shape change. In the early First Age, he could turn into werewolves and bats and monsters and create dragons. Now he's lucky, he doesn't even leave Barad-dûr. He just commands from Barad-dûr because he's that weak. Last time he went out and fought, he got his finger chopped off and was stabbed and killed. Whereas Gandalf is at top of his power. He used his power sparingly, and he was given Narya, the Ring of Fire. And the main power of the Ring of Fire is persuasion. So Gandalf could almost like mesmerize people with the talk. What feats did he do? He fired lightning and fought the Nazgul. He helped Elrond with the rapid waters to destroy the bodies of the even Sauron, even Melkor, and of course anything created by them, they couldn't cross over water. They never had power over water. That's why Melkor and Morgoth never conquered Numenor, things like that. He battled. He had what he called words of command, but he was fallible. He forgot spells. He couldn't remember his way through Moria. He forgot people's names. He couldn't summon. None of the gods in Tolkien seemed to have like omniscience. Like even Manwë would have to do this ritual to go up. Manwë is the king of the gods. He would have to go up into this mountain, and he would have to ask his wife, whose name is escaping me, and she would light the stars up in the heavens so that he could see everything. But like, so none of them. And Melkor, like he didn't know where Gondolin was. Like they were extremely limited for gods. But I'm trying to think, what other feats did he do? He battled the Witch King, to a standstill and chased him away. He could summon light. In The Hobbit, he threw fire from his bones.
So the longer these angelic beings are on Earth, the weaker they become.
That's my interpretation.
Okay. Because that sounds cool. That would explain why Sauron was like mighty, and then towards the end he was just a little ring, little bitty.
That it's not how long you are. It's like it's if you use up your power. That's what I thought. And Morgoth spent all his power in forming the Earth. The original Earth was donut shaped. And then there was in the middle, there was an ocean in the middle. And then in the middle, there was an island. And that was Ilmaran. And it was this perfectly symmetrical world. The gods fashioned perfect symmetry. And then Morgoth destroyed it all. He literally raising mountains with his hands and earthquakes and wrecking it to all the shapes that it is now. But he never did it again. Like why can't I think of her name? She created the two trees, but then she could never do it again. Then they created the sun and the moon, but they can't do it. Like every time they exert themselves. So
there's no recharging of the magical abilities. There's no thing that can.
And I'm sure somebody's going to go, according to page 443. But this is what I feel is like when they use their powers, they get weaker. It doesn't replenish.
Tolkien stated that he gave Gandalf the form of an old man to limit his powers on Earth overall.
To make him less intimidating.
Along with it as well. I mean,
to go along with the fact that he's supposed to be an advisor, like you're not going to listen to him if he was a 12-year-old boy.
Did he always look like an old man?
When he first came to Middle Earth in the before the first age, they came in his full glory, whatever that is. They never described him, and they turned the elves.
He's always looked like this Odin character, which everybody links him to because there's a lot of Norse mythology, Roman Catholic.
In Norse mythology, Odin would take the form of the Grey Wanderer.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then and then Gandalf coming back from the dead is like it's Christ-like. The Roman Catholicism of Tolkien is shown there, and so that's why people keep studying it because it's a unique mix of those two.
And also, Aragorn is the boy king, born to parents, and then raised by foster parents by Elrond. You know what I mean? And then nobody knew Aragorn didn't know his lineage until he.
And they both had the specific sword, right? I forgot what Elrond's or Aragorn's sword was. What was it called? His king's sword, the one that they remade.
Now I'm looking at it right over there, hanging up on my wall, and I can't remember.
You got that sword too?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Wow. You got an armory over there. Captain America's shield, Excalibur. Shit, man.
Wait, I gotta go get my son's sword. Plus, they have the real lightsabers, which have really handle. It'll break into little pieces.
Yeah, hey, John, have you ever covered Morgoth in one of these things?
I could talk about Morgoth. I could talk about Tolkien all day long.
No, I know. But have you done it's clobbering time with Morgoth against somebody else? Sounds like an interesting character.
Yeah, who would be powerful like Morgoth? The only one like Darkseid or Thanos.
Yeah, there you go. Or how about the DC Comics Lucifer?
Yeah,
The one from the Sandman? Yeah.
but Elendil, the sword. Andrew was the original, and then that's gonna drive me nuts that I can't think of Aragorn's sword. But
hold on, I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
I can't believe you got that sword. That's so cool.
I can't believe he has everything.
Don't tell me he has a copy of the Necronomicon somewhere back there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Glamdring. This is Gandalf's sword.
Oh, wow. You got Gandalf's sword. That is so cool.
Yeah, the other one is all the way over there. I'm not going to walk over it, but Aragorn's sword. But my friend got me this, and it's like, this is Jon Snow's sword.
Oh. Hey, John, you don't happen to have Sting, do you?
Yeah, Sting's hanging up over there by the microphone.
Oh, wow.
Anduril.
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 Yeah,
Flame of the West in Elvish.
Is the sword reforged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the sword that cut Sauron's finger. Anyway, so that's Gandalf. Anybody any questions about Gandalf? And then we'll talk about Dumbledore. Oh yeah, I talked about his feats. Obviously, his main enemy is Sauron and Saruman. And yes, Radagast was an angel. He was a Maya. Saruman, Rostromo, and Alastor, the Blue Wizards. They were the five. They said that Gandalf was the only one not to fall, and Tolkien was writing a book called the New Shadow, and he abandoned it after only 13 pages, and it was set during the year. It was set 200 years after Aragorn. So Aragorn and Arwen were dead, and his son was the king. And kids at the time would pretend to be orcs because there were no more orcs left. Like it was basically, hard times create good, strong men create good times create weak men. So that's what's going on there. There was no foes left. And they said strange cults were coming out of the east and whispers of a new power. And I thought it was the Blue Wizards returning, but I don't know. He never finished it. Tolkien abandoned it. He said it was just a thriller. It had nothing mythological about it, and he didn't want to write just a thriller, so he abandoned it. Yeah. And then I always thought like poor Radagast got a bad rap. Like he didn't fail in my this is my interpretation, because he was sent there by Yavanna. Yavanna also created the Ents to protect the forests from the dwarves, which were created by her husband Aule. So she insisted that Radagast go to Middle Earth. But I still have been looking at all these letters. I never saw that that Yavanna gave him a mission to defeat Sauron. Like the last time she interfered in Middle Earth, she created Ents to protect the trees. Now, why she would send a wizard to protect the forests? So I always, in my mind, Radagast never fell. He did what he was tasked to do. He protected the bunnies and the forests and the trees. But I could be wrong.
John, what happened to Saruman after his defeat in the Two Towers?
Well, what happened was he got imprisoned in Orthanc, and they gave the key to Treebeard, and Treebeard just wandered away. And he basically unlocked the door and let Saruman out. He said he can't stand to see anybody imprisoned. Okay. And Saruman was defeated. His staff was broken, and he was humbled. And what did he do? He went to the Shire, and he took over the Shire. There's a whole. They could make a whole other movie about what happened. They cut it all out of the movies because it was just too much. But it's called the Scout.
The movie would have been way too long.
So what happened? Did the hobbits rise up and kill him or something?
So what's his name? He put there was half orcs that ran. They pulled up the tree, the party tree. They made mills and deforested and enslaved everybody. And there was another character called Fatty Bulger, who was one of the fourth of the hobbits. He was imprisoned and sickly and thin when they finally released him. But they imprisoned hobbits, they enslaved them, and when they showed up, they were like, crap. They took out their weapons and they went to war, and they got a bunch of hobbit archers and they fought a bunch of half orcs, and they chased them out of town, killed them. I think something like 22 halflings were killed, and then he was going to his house, Bag End, and Saruman's there, and he's yelling at him, and he's making and Grimer Wormtongue is literally crawling on the ground. This Saruman is so evil at this point. He's basically walking Grimer as if he's a dog, crawling on the ground, making fun of him, throwing food at him, and kicking him in the ribs, and making fun of him. He's like, look at this pathetic. He goes, and he's basically saying, I hate you. He goes, I don't care. Do whatever you want. But, he's like spitting on he's like a raving lunatic at this point. And he's like, the only thing worse than you is this piece of crap on the ground over. Look at this worm. I could do anything. And he's kicking Wormtongue. And then Wormtongue just gets up and stabs him right in the throat while he's talking to the Hobbit. And, that's how. So in the movies, he was killed by Grimer, but that's what happened. But right in front of Bag End, he's stabbed in the throat. He collapses on the ground, and he just opens his mouth, and this cloud comes out. And the cloud tries to go to the west, to Valinor, but then a wind comes and disperses him. That shows
Dude, why couldn't Amazon have made that? That sounds so interesting. Wow, that was pretty cool.
So that is the ending, and then Frodo, he meets what's her name? Saxo.
Why didn't Gandalf help with this? Help defeating?
Because Gandalf was done as soon as Saruman was defeated. Gandalf's charge was over. Gandalf went to Rivendell with the hobbits. Then the hobbits left from Rivendell back to the Shire. But Gandalf,
I see. Yeah,
Gandalf went, and he said, "I must talk with Tom Bombadil."
Mm-hmm.
A talk which has been in the works for 1,000 years. And he went and he stayed with Tom Bombadil for a long time. And then Frodo, lived whatever. I forget. One of them, Pippin became the sheriff, and the other one became, I forget, the Thane. One became the Thane, one became the sheriff, and Sam became the mayor and had 13 kids.
Wow.
And Frodo went off with Gandalf to Valinor, and then Sam, when after his wife died, he just went and he said, I want to go see Frodo, and he I think he got on the last boat with Gimli and Legolas and Círdan the shipwright, and that was the last boat, and they went to Valinor.
But there were no other wizards that could have helped with that,
only 5 wizards in the whole world. There was only 5.
Okay,
and nobody knows what happened to Radagast. Even Gandalf said he just disappeared, and that was his. Every wizard seemed to have a specialty, and Saruman's specialty was his voice. He could control you, and he could influence you with his voice. Radagast was he could disappear. He could fade into the forest. So nobody knows that. So. What I just realized I've been neglecting the chat. Yes, so all the wizards, angels, even Radagast. Yep, he fought a Balrog. He could make fireworks because he had the Ring of Fire. So he could control fire and things like that. Who are the wizards in the thumbnails? Well, in the thumbnails, it's 2 Dumbledores and 1 Gandalf. What is this? There's a shop in my local shopping mall that sells actual swords and weapons from the movies. Yeah, I got mine from Weta Workshop. Weta Workshop actually made the props for the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you could go to their website and order their swords. I got a Gandalf staff. I got a Saruman staff.
Are they really expensive?
Now they are, because
maybe they are now. Yeah.
Like the Gandalf staff and the Saruman staff go for like $1,000 on eBay right now.
But that makes sense.
But you could get them from other places, because if you get them shipped from New Zealand, it's just a fortune. But anyway, so now we got to talk about Dumbledore. So Dumbledore is the wizard in Harry Potter. He's the master, the headmaster. He's in charge of the school. He's a wizard that is so advanced understanding of wizardry. In the Harry Potter world, everybody has a wand, and they showed that when you don't have a wand, you're handicapped. But Gandalf, not only does he not need a wand, he also doesn't need to speak. That's how well he knows. I said Gandalf, Dumbledore. That's how well he knows magic. The only other wizard who can cast, well, they can all cast without a wand, but they're handicapped, was Voldemort. But what did he do? He didn't seem to know prophecy. He collected artifacts, like he had a time turner. He had that whatever it's called, the memory pool. I forget what it's called. And he was good with potions, and he was a good diplomat, and he was a good judge of character. Like he knew, like in Harry Potter, prophecies are really weird because they're not necessarily the future. They're almost like suggestions. And one of the great things that I loved about the prophecy of Harry is that it could have just as easily have been what's his name?
Ron.
Neville Longbottom. Neville Longbottom filled,
yeah.
But Voldemort, because Voldemort believed the prophecy, he made it happen. It is actually really brilliant the way she set up this book, to the point where if Voldemort just didn't attack Harry's parents, he would have won. He set up his own demise. It's real. I could go on and on and on. But
Do you think she did that on purpose?
Does Voldemort have prophecy?
No.
Okay.
He doesn't have the gift of prophecy. I'm going to say right now, out of all the wizards, the Harry Potter wizards are the weakest.
I was thinking that, yeah.
Without a doubt, which I kind of like the most. One of the things I don't like is you have to be born a wizard. I hate that.
I think you should learn a wizard.
Yeah, to me, magic is a skill that you learn, but that's me. But no, like Merlin was born a wizard. He's half demon. Gandalf was never born.
I suppose some people have more talent. It could be more talented at being a wizard than others, but you can learn something. Like you could always learn to draw a little bit.
Right.
Everybody can do a little, but you might not be as talented as the top.
Right. Anybody could be a quarterback. It's just that you know.
Right.
I want to be a quarter. You can't be you're not born a quarterback. You're not the right race to be a quarterback. No, you could be a quarterback. You're just not good at it. But you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. You could be a boxer, but you're just not good at it. But Gandalf was created, he as a Maya, and Dumbledore was born into the magical race.
But it's the same way with in Conan, the magic users there, like Thoth Amon, they get sort of possessed. They sort of become like the avatar for the magic, whatever. But they don't really learn it. They just sort of get possessed by the power.
That to me is a subtle difference. Like to me, again, these three archetypal pointy hat staff beard wizards, these guys are all born into it. But Dulce Doom, I would consider that a sorcerer. They're given power from an outside source. Like in my world, my Heroic Tales universe, a wizard, like I showed you a picture of the metaphysician. He's a wizard. He learns spells. He went out of his way to learn magic, arcane writings, and learn spells. He collected so much magical knowledge that his eyes started to glow, things like that. The more magic the more it affects you. But anybody could do it. It's not like he was born a certain way. But other people, there's Dr. Nadir, one of his biggest enemies. He's a sorcerer. He gets his powers from demonic entities. Like to me, Captain Marvel, Shazam, he's more of a sorcerer because he gets his powers from outside. He's Atlas, Hercules,
The wizard Shazam. Yeah. Yeah.
So that sorcery is you tap into a source. And if I could get real dirty in like Dungeons and Dragons, in the way I play it, all clerics are sorcerers because they get their power from a deity, but they're also priests. So you know what I mean? Like they're they use a source, whether it's Zeus or whatever, Yandala or whatever D&D wizard god you want to use, but they worship them, so it becomes religious. That's what makes them not like a sorcerer does not necessarily have to worship the being that it gets. It just makes a deal with it, or you could find a magic rock and tap into it. That's the source. It's a sorcerer who uses these magic stones or whatever. And then I'll even go far in my world. Literally, I looked up I'm big into etymology of words. A warlock is derived from warlock, which basically means oath breaker. So in my thinking, a warlock is a sorcerer who broke their deal with their source, and they're untrustworthy because they made a deal for good or for bad, and then didn't stick to that deal, and now they're warlocks, they're oath breakers. So there you go. But this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So Dumbledore, his biggest enemies were obviously Voldemort and Grindelwald. Now, Grindelwald was a big part of the last book, but it's not in the movie. My favorite part of all of Harry Potter is not in the movies. The last, in the seventh book, Rita Skeeter releases a book, a tell-all book about Dumbledore. It's fascinating, and it goes back into Dumbledore's Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Grindelwald, they showed him first. He was Johnny Depp, and then they swapped him out to the other Madigan or whatever his name is, and he was a supremacist. He was Voldemort before Voldemort. He believed that wizards were better than humans, and he basically wanted to like flaunt it. He believed that humans were misinterpreted. This was in between World War I and in between World War II. He was seeing that Mads Mikkelsen, thank you, that humans were messing up, and he believed that the wizards should take over the earth and rule, because humans, we're all hiding and doing nothing, and we could do these great feats, and we're letting these apes run everything. They're making bombs. They're going to kill each other. They're putting each other in concentration camps, stuff like that. It's kind of hard. And Dumbledore was with it, and he kind of was ashamed of his past, and they got into an argument, and they had a wizard's duel, and Dumbledore won, but in the fight, Dumbledore's sister was killed, and that regret caused him to become a good guy, for the rest of his life. But it's not like he was proud of it. He kind of hid that. So this book revealed Dumbledore's secret past, and a lot of people turned on him, and Dumbledore was ashamed. It made him more. And then after the movie, did I lose you? After the books came out, Dumbledore was gay, but there was no hint of that in the books. But
I heard about that too. What did you think of that? Did you break into that? I mean,
it's funny because reading the book a second time, you could kind of see that Dumbledore followed Grindelwald because he was enamored by him. And I think, reading between the lines, Dumbledore made a pass on Grindelwald, and Grindelwald wasn't gay and insulted Dumbledore. And that's what started that fight.
But did you think I thought that she added that on after getting pressure.
It's funny because I thought the same thing too, but if you reread the book, she's a subtle writer. You can interpret it either way. And I find it's kind of like cowardly to write it in a way that you didn't realize it unless explicitly told. But once you're explicitly told, you can see it. But she's a good writer, so she kind of hit it. And there you go. I just think that
it didn't save her from any other crap she went through.
I know. So that's fine. So he's now ashamed. He did bad things in his past. He's a very flawed character, and he's smart enough to know everything about Harry Potter, and he basically set Harry Potter up for everything that was going to happen to him, and almost like a lamb to the slaughter. It's like a lot of people don't like Dumbledore. He was a master manipulator. He basically groomed Harry to be a weapon to fight Voldemort, but he couldn't tell Harry because Voldemort could read minds. Like I said, he's a very interesting, very flawed character, and I do recommend reading the Harry Potter books. When you watch the movies, it's just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much depth to the writing, to the characters, and what I like about them is the first book is written for 7-year-olds, and each book is written as if the audience ages up with the book. So 7 books later, it's written for a 19-year-old. It explains politics and like the whole Harry Potter trying to pick up girls and goof it, and he can't. It's really, really good. So, yeah. So warlocks are renegade wizards in my world. Yes. Mads Mikkelsen, that's the name of the actor, who I think should play Doctor Doom. That guy would be an awesome Doctor Doom. What's interesting is Rita doesn't make it all up. It's not that there's elements of truth in the book. It is the truth. And what makes it worse is Dumbledore hid it all from everybody. He never would have been installed at the head of the school if they knew all about his past. So it made him look even more guilty. You know, not a fan of adding stuff like that after the fact. I don't think she added.
I'm not sure
I think she put it in the book.
She may have
hid it so well.
Well, or she left it up to your interpretation. So if you were somebody who wanted to read into that, then it would be fine. And if you wanted to ignore it, it would have been fine. That would be a pretty good sign of a good writer to me.
She's a very good writer. I recommend
what I read, she's a good writer. I didn't read all the books.
Like Snape, the whole story of Snape is such a great story. Like, you know, up until you know Dumbledore himself vouches for him. You don't know if he's good.
You know, it's funny. They made all the movies, and they still had to. And they had a lot of movies, and they had. And I always think that these books should be almost go like Game of Thrones, like a TV show, because you can take the episodes. If it's well made for that long, it's hard to do that, right? And it almost always falls apart. But to really get all the details of the stories to have it episodic, like that goes in like an hour show a week, 2 hours a show.
I heard that
15 episodes, because you can never get into 2-hour movies.
I heard that this new series is going to be each book is going to be a season.
And like that. Except that they're going to ruin it because they ruin everything. But that's besides.
They ruin everything. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not you know, and you know, my wife and I pretty much met over Harry Potter. So Harry Potter, I'm a big fan of. These days, I don't, you know, my wife and I, we used to watch it a lot, but I kind of burnt out on it for a while. We
used to go. One of the books, we went to a midnight thing so the kids could get the books at midnight at a bookstore. Here in Charlotte.
Yeah,
it was a big part of our lives.
So there you go. So what feats did Dumbledore do? Again, he used a lot of magic items. I just realized I have the wrong picture up. So
they all look the same, so nobody noticed.
So Dumbledore, he could craft items. You know, he could make. He also had the Elder Wand, and he was the owner of the Elder Wand. He won it off of Grindelwald, and it made your spells better than any other spell. So like, it almost casts a little bit of doubt on, is he that good of a wizard, or did he just have the best magic item? You know. So hey, DM Everson, how you doing? How's everything? So and then, of course, he gets defeated by Draco, if you remember, beat him and won possession of it. And Voldemort he didn't own it, so that's why he wanted to kill Draco. And then Harry defeated Draco and took the So Harry had possession of all 3 Deathly Hallows, the invisibility cloak, the stone, and the wand, and because of that, he had power over death itself, and that's why Harry.
Get into a dark Harry. Harry turns evil.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's Harry Potter. So let's talk about Harry Dresden. Speaking of Harry,
Yeah.
Anybody want to talk about Harry Dresden?
Sure. I don't know anything about Harry Dresden.
Okay, Tony, do you know Harry Dresden, or am I talking about Harry?
It's been years since I've read the novels, so you'd have to take that one, John.
I've heard of Harry Dresden.
So Harry Dresden is a detective in Chicago, and he's kind of a superhero wizard.
I should read these books.
But he's a detective in modern day Chicago, and he advertises, "I'm a wizard for hire," and of course nobody believes him. It's one of the things that they say that the magic to the untrained causes like you just don't want to acknowledge it. So it's almost like hiding in plain. Like if you see somebody casting a spell, your brain doesn't register it and you ignore it, kind of thing. So they think he's a kook. But Karen Murphy, a cop, a good cop, out of desperation hires him, and she sees results. So after a while, she starts to believe that he's good. So what can he do? In the Dresden universe, magic is just an extension of your will. So as like the words that they say, the spells that they cast are nonsense. They're just focuses, So he doesn't need wands. He waves his hands.
He has a wand. It's a hockey stick, isn't it, or something like that?
Something like that. A couple of times he has a hockey stick. He makes potions out of Coca-Cola. One of the things I do it's like sympathetic magic. So he's going to make a speed potion, so he makes it out of coffee. You know what I mean? So, it's basically they imagine something and they exert will, and that's what wizards could do. And in those books, you have to be born a wizard too. So you have this ability to exert your will. And Harry has an affinity toward evocation, so explosion magic. So he's good with fire, lightning, and things that go boom. He's bad with like illusions and prophecy and stuff like that. His apprentice Molly is really good with illusions and prophecy. So he's good with like the male explosion magic, and she's good with like the female divination and veils and things like that. His father, I don't want to spoil it, but his grandfather is the enforcer for the Wizards Council. And what I like about Harry Dresden is the first book he just wrote because he's writing it. What's his name? Jim Butcher. He wrote. He wanted to write another book, like a sword and sorcery book, and his teacher said, "No, write this. What do you hate?" And he goes, "I hate urban fantasy." She goes, "Write an urban fantasy novel, because if you could write in a genre that you hate, make it good, then you're a good writer." So he wrote Harry Dresden. He couldn't stand it, and she said, "Oh, that's good. We could get this published. Now write another one, because it's easier to sell the first book if you write a second book." So he wrote a second book, got published. So the third book is when the grand story actually starts. The first 2 books were just an assignment from his teacher. The third book, so you could literally leave out the first 2 books. The third book is where all this fair. But what he does is he takes all of the fairies and dragons and demons and Greek mythology and puts his own twist on. I really, really like him. He's vastly powerful. Now, out of all of these magicians, if it comes to a fight, Dresden is kicking all their asses, because all he does, he's a combat wizard. He fights dragons, he fights monsters, he fights goddesses, and he just pulls victory out of his ass because he's stubborn. He could take a beating, and that's what he does. Like, he's not sitting around like doing prophecies and guiding people. He's literally doing boom, lightning bolt to the face, fireball. He is a combat wizard through and through. The only one who could give him trouble, I think, would be Gandalf. Because
didn't he kill his uncle, his evil uncle, or something like that?
Yeah, Julian or something like that.
Yeah, and his familiar is a skull with a dead magician in it, or something like that. It's been a while.
Spirit. It's Bob.
Bob. Yeah.
And Bob is very, very creepy. the more you learn about Bob, the more I had my niece stopped reading Dresden because she said it got more and more disturbing. And I didn't pick it up, but it's funny. Every girl that I know that reads Dresden, they stop reading because they say it's creepier and creepier. And every guy is just like, I don't see what you're talking about. So,
I got to pick up those novels again. Yeah.
But Dresden is extremely flawed. He's got like chivalrous, outdated thinking about women that a lot of, but it like saved, like he doesn't sleep around. In the books, I think he sleeps with like 2 girls in 13 books, or 3 girls, and he absolutely loved them all, to the point where these like sex vampires attacked him, and they burnt to death because he was protected by this true love. Like, they're sex vampires, so the more you sleep around, the more you're vulnerable to them. But he literally only had sex with women that he was absolutely in love with, and that created a purity field around him that burnt these like succubi. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But Harry Dresden books, I highly recommend them. They're a lot of fun.
Have you ever watched the old TV show?
I watched the first episode. In the first episode, he picks up a girl at the bar and bangs her, and I'm like, this is fundamental.
Oh, that's the end of that,
right? It's fundamental. Because if you know anything about Dresden, that's the last thing he would do. But so I already spoiled it.
Well, I do like Paul Blackthorne. I might have to watch some of them.
But if it came down to a wizard fight, Gandalf would probably clean the clock of all of them. He's vastly the most powerful, but that would have to be Gandalf realizing he's going to die, and have to go all out, because I just Merlin. What is Merlin's feats? He could shape
prophecy. He could control the elements. But I mean, thinking back, he it was like he could just he was more subterfuge than anything. Yeah, sort of like Dumbledore. Like what you were saying, like manipulative, underhanded. Yeah, I don't even think he had I'm trying to think. Like, did he ever like electrify anybody or throw a fireball? I don't think he ever did.
No. Like, and it's funny because all of like the attack spells, all Harry Potter, they might as well be Star Wars blaster fire. Like I said, like Harry Potter is about magic in the same way Star Wars is about stars. It's if you swap out the lightsabers for wands, they're the same thing. Isn't Merlin a druid? Yeah, I think he's based on early druids. I think if you go back far enough in Merlin's past, he would be a Welsh druid. But I already jumped the gun, like in an all-out, all desperate, full-on power. I think Gandalf is the most powerful.
Now you go from a really nice guy like Harry Dresden to a complete amoral asshole of John Constantine.
Right.
There you go. You go from the yin to the yang. There you
go. True Spartan. How you doing? Good to see you. Old man with the staff versus Moses type character. Merlin is obviously in the derivative works. Yes. Was there another? I thought there was another comment. Yeah. So now we got John Constantine. John Constantine is a human.
He's
born a human. Both his parents were human, and he just got interested in the occult. Now, the thing is about John Constantine is
according to the Jamie Delano series, remember Hellblazer, his family, he comes from a line of magicians known as laughing magicians. Remember, Neil Gaiman used one of his ancestors, Joanna Constantine. Yeah. And so, all the people in his lineage were just like him. They used magic as like a grift. They would con demons and goddesses and gods. Yeah.
Now keep in mind, my knowledge of Constantine is the original Alan Moore Swamp Thing, and then the 300 issue Hellblazer run. I never read anything past that, and it was 300.
That's enough, I think 300 issues. Yeah,
300 issues, and he aged. He gained weight. and he actually saw
In the new
I had the
52,
first
he
issue.
became like Doctor Strange. You know, he was
Right.
like throwing lightning bolts and shit. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
in the Hellblazer run, he was very subtle. Like you never saw
Mhm.
lightning bolts. Most of his magic was almost like prestidigitation and con man stuff.
Yeah.
He was like that on TV too.
Right, like
It was always
he,
like
he would take out his
morally ambiguous and
he would take out like a
and it
white
was always
string,
it wasn't obvious stuff.
and hold it over a map to divine locations. Like, but he never just like did spells and like,
He was sort of like Merlin, manipulative. He
right.
would do stuff, but it wasn't like, you know, yeah.
But like my favorites things, like what I found him to be interesting was he was a good guy,
Eh,
but well, it's not like he was out making himself rich and killing people for the sake of pleasure or anything.
no, but he kind of he was. I don't know. I always saw him. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you're right. I suppose.
Like here's a perfect example. In issue 2, I think it was, of Hellblazer, or 1 and 2, the first 2-issue stories, a hunger demon is released, and the hunger demon, one of Constantine's friends releases a hunger demon, and it releases it in Ethiopia, and everybody's starving, and the more you ate, it didn't help. You just died and died and died, and that person came to Constantine, help me, this hunger demon wants me because I accidentally released it. So Constantine travels to Ethiopia, talks to the shaman, come back, and what does he do? He's like, okay, me and you need to cast this spell. And this guy's just emaciated, and they get in the magic circle, and he does everything, and they chant the spell. And what does he do? He summons the demon into his friend, and his friend starves to death and basically kills the demon. He set his friend up. Why? Because that's what the demon wanted. And if he didn't do it, the demon was just going to go around killing people, But
Yeah.
but since that guy was the one who summoned it to Earth, the demon wanted, so he sacrificed his friend, lied to his friend, said, I'm gonna save you. But that's the kind of things that he did.
The way Alan Moore set it up, I remember they were always talking about this failed exorcism that happened in a club, and yes, and Delano sort of built on that and actually showed it. So the way he set it up was Constantine was trying to atone for what he did to that little girl and what he did to his friends, and that's when he had that sort of thing where if you were his friend, you would die eventually, a very violent death.
Literally, every person that became close to Harry Constantine, to John Constantine, died except for Chaz, the cab driver. But he ruined Chaz's life because he was always like, Chaz, you got to drive me here because John didn't drive. So it caused his wife to leave him. You know what I mean? He might as well have killed poor Chaz. I always felt bad for Chaz, but Chaz was the only one of Constantine's friends that lived. And that's what
he was used by the Swamp Thing in order to conceive Tefe Holland. Remember?
Right. And of course, he didn't tell Abby and Swamp Thing that at that point he had nurgled the demon's blood in his vein.
Yes.
Tefe to become a serial killer. So he was a total bastard. Whatever he would use you. He would lie to your face. But it's not like he would do it for material gain. He would lie to your face because it was like it had to be done. He
was sort of like Merlin, the people like Merlin, like Dumbledore, the ones that would just manipulate you. They would help, but they would help for their own reasons, their own purposes, and they would manipulate people and things to their advantage.
Right. It's a perfect example of battle not with monsters, lest you become a monster. Like, a few things I did like about him, like in down times, he was racked with guilt. He was contemplating like suicide. He was like smoking and drinking because he hated himself. He knew.
Right.
If I'm remembering correctly, he was haunted by his friends, the ghosts of his friends. Yes.
They would like a spell, and they would be like, "You killed me," and he'd be like, like to the point when he saved Morpheus the Sandman. He was just like, "Could you take away my nightmares?" and and he had like a night of sleep without nightmares. You know what I mean? As a gift, because that's how tortured he was. Later years, he met a girl and married her, and he told her everything, and she still wanted to marry him. And then even she was like attacked by a demon, and he full on put on the robes, got a wand, and he did a full on magic ritual because he was just like, I can't lose her too. You know what I mean? I told her everything. And like, this is the first person I didn't lie to, and I, and she still loves me kind of thing. And he's like, this is how much I'm willing. He's doing it by the books with the wizard hat, robes, and a wand. You know what I mean? And this it ended. He was scarred, fat, old. You know what I mean? And then it ended. And then they restarted it, and now he's bisexual, and he's shooting lightning bolts. And
yeah, they made him bisexual on TV too.
Right, because the story.
Everybody in DC is bisexual now,
right.
man.
He was one of the early ones, though.
There was a story where he was in an S&M club, and he was flirting, and he was a bastard, a manipulator. He was like trying to get a guy to do what he wanted. So he was just like, flirting with him and everything like that. Now, did they have sex? I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past Constantine to do that, to manipulate somebody. Like one of the things, like he was in a jail, and like the Muslim Brotherhood was coming after him.
Warren Ellis. Yeah, right. That was a great run.
As he's talking, he's taking out a cigarette. He's going like this, and he doesn't realize that he's mesmerizing them. And they all go to pray, and they're praying in the wrong direction. So they're putting their asses towards Mecca. You know what I mean? And they realize this guy made us blaspheme against Allah. And at
the end of that story, I remember everyone kills themselves in prison except for him. He walks out. Remember? Yeah, that was a good one. That was probably one of my favorite Warren Ellis stories. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to an all-out fight, like I said, I could see John Constantine somehow weaseling out a victory and walking away without even fighting. You know what I mean? Because that's the kind of guy he is. But if spell casting, he's the first to go.
Right. Well, he's just
Well, how powerful was he, John? I know he had some sort of influence over synchronicity and luck.
Right.
But they never really specified. Delano never specified. Moore never specified.
Because he was in Vertigo until again, New 52. I know nothing.
Yeah, neither do I.
In Vertigo, he was more in a realistic world. So he was like a used car salesman magician. He mostly manipulated you. Like he didn't really. There was whole periods where the writers were just like, no, he's not a magician. He's just a guy who says he's a magician. Like he didn't use magic. He just used the long cons. He was just a con man. And then later on, they were like, no, he was like Garth Ennis, as far as I know, really didn't write him with doing magic.
Yeah, he did. And when he made the deal with the Triumvirate of Hell, remember?
Oh, that's right.
To get his cancer cured. The most famous one of all.
That's right.
Dangerous Habits. Yeah.
But he didn't defeat. Well, that's right. He cast a spell and he summoned up Azazel, and he cast a spell and he.
The way he did it was brilliant. Remember, he made a deal with each of them, so that when he did, they can't claim him when he dies, because then they would have to go to war with each other.
He sold his soul to Biel, and then he ritually cleansed himself, so that there was no trace. And then he sold his soul to Azazel, and then he did. So none and Beelzebub, none of these three archdukes knew that he sold. So when he died, they all owned his soul, and they would have to go. So what did they do? They cured his cancer.
Yeah.
They cured his cancer. That's right. How can I say that Garth Ennis didn't? Maybe I forget.
Oh, that was one of the. I mean, I didn't really like his Punisher too much, but damn, I love this Hellblazer run. He was
I like Garth Ennis' Punisher. Yeah. Yeah, but when it comes, so I'm back to so you already know who I think. So Tony, we've been talking for almost 2 hours. Who do you think would like? Who is the best?
Gandalf. As much as I like Merlin, I respect Harry Dresden and Constantine. I know very little of Dumbledore, but he sounds pretty cool. But for power, skill, sheer power, it has to be Gandalf. Gandalf just cleans everyone's clock. Everyone's. Maybe Dresden can keep up with it, but I don't know, man. Gandalf's an angel. You know, I mean, he's yeah.
Gandalf's not human.
Mhm.
Gandalf's not human. I mean, I know like Merlin's not really human, but he was the first one. They didn't really do anything to show his power. You know what I mean? Marcus, what do you think? Who do you think?
Well, I was looking at this before, and it's definitely Dumbledore. I mean, I didn't know that we were going to do Dresden and Constantine. And it sounds to me like Dresden would give him a run for his money just because of pure grit from your description without reading the books. But Dumbledore's he's like basically Odin. He's like God on Earth. The rest of them aren't really like that. They're more like wizards and humans that became wizards. But, it's got to be Gandalf.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I'm typing into Grok who would win, but I didn't realize it was on talk. So everything you were saying was coming in.
Oh, well, maybe I helped Grok out.
Oh, man. Gandalf versus Dumbledore? That's a tough one. Both are heady-hitting wizards.
They always say that's a tough one. What a joke.
It comes down to their style. Gandalf's got that Maya spirit, practically a demigod. Ancient magic. And his sword went...
All right, stop it. Yeah.
So how did you give Grok that voice?
That's just the default voice.
Is that her voice? I never really. I just read about it. I never put on the voice.
So, let's see. Kojo, I'm going to go with Merlin because he's my first wizard. Yeah, everybody remembers their first wizard.
I mean, you think if you're thinking about it, and especially you don't know everything, you always think it's Merlin because everybody remembers Merlin because he of all of them. Now, I guess Gandalf and Dumbledore may be as big as Merlin, but before the book, these other things, it was always Merlin. Who's the wizard? Merlin. Merlin in Disney. Merlin in other movies. Merlin Excalibur. But
it's
now
funny because in Harry Potter they refer to Merlin as the greatest wizard, and in Dresden they refer to Merlin, who's still around, as the greatest wizard. But in the books that I read with Merlin, he doesn't really do anything other than believe it or not, a couple of people, like guys at work who are big Tolkien fans, they get mad at me when I say this, but I go, Aragorn was a spellcaster. He used earth magic and healed people. Like he had magic healing power. Aragorn also had limited telepathy. Everybody in Middle Earth has limited telepathy, but Aragorn was better at it than most. And he also had. There's a few things that he did. He had a little bit of farsight. So Aragorn was as powerful as Merlin. The stories in the books, but I don't know. I've always loved Merlin, as this archetype, long bearded.
Well, he is the archetype.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the archetype. He's the first one.
But I got to say, Gandalf wins because he's divine.
Mm-hmm.
So take out the divinities. Then Harry Dresden, man, read those books. This guy's he's just a bulldog.
Well, I just wrote it down.
I think Constantine would give him a run.
If I catch up on my reading of anything here, which there's very little chance of, I'll buy them.
Yeah, they're good. They're
I'll
good.
Put them on my list.
Now,
it sounds good.
Now, of course, prep time. My hated prep time. Constantine beats them all. He's the sneakiest, most devious, cleverest, immoral.
Yeah, I can see that definitely.
He's as manipulative as Merlin. Yeah, he could do it. Yeah,
I think. Yeah, he's just a bastard. I could see.
John, out of the three, out of Merlin, Dumbledore, and Constantine, which one's the better manipulator?
Oh,
in your opinion?
Constantine. Just and I would say best meaning worst, meaning who's more manipulative.
Yeah, who's the best? Yeah.
Then Dumbledore. He manipulated 11-year-old boy for 7 years.
Yeah, but Merlin facilitated the birth of the king. Right. And his downfall, really.
But in Merlin's defense, Uther was his king, and he had to do with his king. Plus he also knew that the future of Arthur and everything like that. But
well, Merlin did create Jack Kirby's The Demon, so
yep.
the Edge again. So there's that. Love the dude.
Zach Dan says, true. I don't think Gandalf could be truly killed by anyone. Gandalf cannot be killed. That's just it. You can. Sauron was defeated. He wasn't killed. Saruman was defeated. He wasn't killed. They say in Gandalf expressly says that Sauron is a spirit that could only whisper and manipulate. You know, that's how weakened he's become. Melkor was defeated, or Morgoth rather, was defeated, chained up, and thrown into outer space. You know, these beings in Tolkien cannot be killed. Elves cannot be killed. Their bodies could die, but their spirits go to Valinor. And if they physically get on a boat from Valinor and come back to Middle Earth, a body will reform, which happened to Glorfindel. And Glorfindel was the elf that rescued Frodo.
So when they get on the boat, they go to heaven, right? Or elf heaven? Okay, all right.
They go to elf. The boat takes the straight path. The earth curves, but the boat stays straight to Valinor.
And Frodo's in elf heaven, as well as Bilbo, right?
No. There's an island called Tel Ascella that is the island that right before Valinor. If Valinor is the undying lands, so it doesn't mean that if you go there you don't die, because the Númenóreans went there and died.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's his name? Fëanor father. What's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but he died in Valinor. Fëanor's mother died in Valinor, and then came back. She literally got depressed.
So why did they go there?
Because it's the undying land, meaning the land itself shall never die.
I see.
The land itself is healing, and it's where the elves live, because the elves are connected to the earth. The elves can't change. It's one of the things about Tolkien is like, oh, the elves been around for 6,000 years, but they're still living medieval. Yeah, because elves can't change. Elves are elves, and they don't like change. They come out of the ground, and that's the way they are. They don't evolve. Where dwarves are unnatural. They change, and because they were created by Smith God. So anyway, Frodo goes, but if you go to Valinor and you're immortal, your body burns up. They say that, if you're a perfectly healthy human and you go to Valinor, it's like a moth to the flame. Your body will be consumed and you'll die like within weeks. So there's an island that's just off the coast, Tal Ascella, and that's where they ended up living. And he stayed there the rest of his days. And the gods and elves would come to Tal Ascella to talk to Frodo and Bilbo. Because if Bilbo went to Valinor proper, by the time if Bilbo went there, by the time Frodo got there, he would have been dead. And if Frodo went to Valinor, by the time Sam got there, he would have been dead. So they left on the island of Tal. So they never actually went to. And Gimli, we don't know. Did he go to Tal? Because if he went to Valinor, then he would have burnt out and died too. But Legolas literally waited till Gimli was old and going to die anyway. So which wizard won? Gandalf, I think we all agree
Gandalf's going to win.
Gandalf is physically the most powerful, but it's almost like a cheat. He's divine. He's not immortal. So barring him, I have to say Harry Dresden. Harry Dresden is just like the god of victory. Read those books, man. That guy just never stops fighting, and he's very clever. And like it or not, he plans. And one of the things I like is it's first person. So Harry Dresden will be like, I'm going to go down to my lab. I want to do something. And then the next day we'll start. And he's like, all right. And then like 3 chapters later, he'll tell you what he was doing in that basement. So it gives you a little bit of suspense.
Yeah, I got to pick up those books. I haven't read them in a long time. But
yeah, Merlin is good, but Gandalf is like an angel. Yeah. Yeah, the reason why I'm saying Harry Dresden over Merlin is what are the feats that were like I read Lamort de Arthur. Merlin doesn't do anything really super impressive the way Harry Dresden does. like Harry Dresden, he's pulling like meteors out of the sky, and you know what I mean, like and earthquakes and lightning bolts. Like Merlin, you know, he goes to get some girl ass and then gets trapped in a stone. You know, he shape changes. He does prophecy, and he does one spell that changes Uther to look like whose name I can't remember, and then Merlin has to recover, like you said, for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he every time he overdoes it, he gets really. It's like Odin in the Thor comics, the Odin sleep. He has to like just sort of crash out for a while.
That's in mythology too, the Odin sleep. But anyway, again, I'm not the authority on this. If you want to argue for Merlin, that's cool too. But you know, but Harry Dresden, it's almost like cheating. It's almost like he's a superhero wizard. Like I would put Harry. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably wrong including him. I should have probably put Harry Dresden with Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate.
Like he's a rougher version of Doctor Strange.
Right. He's more like a superhero wizard, you know.
I always saw him as like one of those occult investigator types, like Jules the Grandin or John Kirowan from R.E. Howard. But you're right. He does do a lot of cool magician stuff.
Says, I would like to apologize to Marcus. He was grouchy to you on Wednesday.
Was I?
This is news to me.
Oh. No, that's Dale A. He's saying he was grouchy to me on Wednesday during Omer's Glitch's Hump Day show. We draw on a hump day, but we don't like as aggressively advertise as Don does. So usually between 10 and 12, I'll try to do some just kind of like a chill stream. And I never think that Dale is grumpy to me.
Yeah.
Dale A is a great person.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
So there you go, guys.
Internet, parasocial things.
What do you guys want to do next week? And again, next week will probably be later because it's not like, you know.
Well, I was thinking, we already did Dresden. I was thinking if we're going to do like several people, like Private Eyes, you know, you could do Mike Hammer or, Travis McGee, Magnum PI, like those type of things. Because they all kind of lead into each other.
Our favorite private investigator?
Yeah, maybe. Or
what do you guys think of that? Favorite private investigator?
Could we include Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah, but then he's gonna win, right? Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
or do you want to do like
we can go back to more superhero stuff? But that's something maybe in the future we could do.
Or do you want to do like we could do TV investigators, or we could do like not paperback novel investigators, like noir investigators, or do you want to do like, because Batman Sherlock Holmes is going to win. Boston Blackie, I don't know who that is.
Well, I was thinking of not costume investigators, but Sherlock Holmes would be like one of the first ones. I was thinking more of there's Mike Hammer, and then there's
So you're thinking of like this,
McGee, and then there's
the Pulp.
You could do the Executioner, Levon Cade, stuff like that. But there's so many of them. Like there's so many.
I would separate Levon Cade as those guys are like vigilantes as opposed to
more like vigilantes, right? Yeah. Right. They're not like somebody who gets hired and eventually does the right thing, even though they're not supposed to. Philip Marlowe.
How about we do like pulp investigators, like Sam Cade, Philip Marlowe and all of those guys. I'm gonna have to do some research because I don't know.
It's been a while since I've read any Mickey Spillane, but I'll give it a shot. I know I have Eye of the Jury up there, so
I know a little about that. I'll read a lot of the John D. McDonald books that influenced Mike Barron for his biker series and stuff.
Can I bring in Nero Wolfe? He's sort of a pulp detective, sort of.
I mean, we could talk about Sherlock Holmes and Hercule Poirot and Christie. What's her name? Like Agatha Christie. What's her character's name?
Miss Marple.
Miss Marple. Yeah. Why not? We could all talk about that, but it would be fun. But
we could talk about Murder, She Wrote. There you go.
Jessica Fletcher. She'd
Jessica Fletcher,
win everything. She'd win everything.
They're going to bring her back, you know.
Well, no, for reals?
They're thinking of Jamie Lee Curtis playing her.
Oh, okay. That she's easy on the eyes, Bill.
Although I just saw the show and the Thursday Murder Club with my wife, and Helen Mirren might be perfect. I mean, she's pretty much playing her in this movie, except it's all English. It's an English show. It was great. It was Pierce Brosnan was in it. It was really a lot of fun. Little movie if you like a fair play mystery with all these.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My wife is a sucker for all these private, murder mystery shows. So,
what about dragons, John? Is there like one of these days you got to do like the?
We could do dragons instead. I mean, people love those.
Oh, who's the best? Oh man, I might bump this detective idea for dragons. That's a good one.
Because the detective idea is just an idea, but it's so wide ranging. It could be anything. It's hundreds of detectives.
Right. That's why
really,
I was
limited to about 10. Between us and Father Brown. And you keep thinking, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. So that's kind of hard to do.
I don't know. Dragons. You just got me excited to talk about dragons.
Hey, John, have you ever seen Dragon Slayer from 1981?
Oh, I saw that. Yes, I saw the
that's
dragon.
The greatest dragon movie ever made.
That was a great movie.
The Vermithrax Pejorative. Yep.
I saw the dragon in Wellfleet, Cape Cod.
All right, we'll do dragons.
I remember that. And the greatest thing is like they're like 14 years old, and there's like naked chick in this PG movie, right? This is awesome.
Yeah.
We'll do dragons. The detective one is pretty good, but I think the detective one we'd have to break down to like pulp detectives, TV.
Yeah, we have to break it down.
And then even like classic literature detectives. These are all different types, you know. But okay, but let's do dragons. Dragons got me excited. Anybody disagree? Dragons versus detectives, as Kojo wants to do.
Okay.
Dragons
win.
Tomorrow at 9:00, John Dexter is going to come on. He's going to talk about his
9 at night or 9 in the morning.
9 at night, because he was going to come on during the week, but I told
you might as well do them on Saturday if that's how you can do them.
And I'm going to be on. What's the name of this guy's channel? But at 7:00, I'm going to be on. What the hell's the name of his channel? I forget. I don't know, but I'll put out a link tomorrow.
Couple of questions, John. This is going to be the regular time for the foreseeable future for clobbering time, right?
It might even be later. Just today, I happened to get home early because.
Sure. And the second question is, are you still going to be doing the show with RJ or not anymore?
I can't unless RJ.
He didn't do it this week. Yeah, I saw RJ show.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to be doing comic book team up for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
I'll still do Sunday comics, and I'm probably going to do live, just short comic book videos like during the week. At 1
I would do that. I feel bad for you.
Yeah, I got to keep. I
wasn't thinking twice about it, and then as the week went on, I'm like, holy Christ, he's not on. This is crazy. I felt bad.
I got to get myself on a new schedule. Like I did absolutely nothing this week.
Because what happens is if you don't put enough content, and you don't have to put a whole lot, but if you don't put your regular content, people are going to forget about your show.
Right. Yeah.
And that's one of your main promotional things too. So
right. So that's what I got to do.
Anything I can help you out with.
So tomorrow, John Dexter at 9:00. I'm going to be on somebody else's channel at 7. I'll put the link out. I forget the name of the channel. And Sunday Comics, I'll do the next X-Men. And then I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I'll probably do short videos and things like that.
After you're going to do all the X-Men up to 145, right? 40, the end of Burn?
Probably.
I could see you doing T-Titans too.
I bet if I could make a recommendation for one, House of Secrets 92. I love that.
Yeah, I'll do one as if people suggest. Yeah, House of Secrets.
I think that's a good idea.
All right, Marcus, you're going to be on the studio tomorrow.
On the studio tomorrow, we have Bud Acevedo, Ace.
Cool.
The Aces who see stuff like this. I drew the Canadian Shield last week.
Nice.
I do kind of more wild stuff for this because I get bored. I don't know what I'm going to draw. Buzz, I could like this is like Bloodbone. I could draw the same thing twice in a week. Be the same character, just gigantic. If anybody has any suggestions, we'll pick a character out.
Atomic Robo.
If we had those guys, what I like to do, and John solidified it in my mind, was, and I don't ever want Don to double book anybody again, is if there's somebody's on there, we're there. We're kind of like the difference between this draw stream is we promote. We're promoting their comics. We hope they get a couple. They get a couple of backers. You know, they don't always get them, but get a couple of backers, and we draw their character, one of their characters. And I hope that they would use this if they want. They don't have to, and that they enjoy that. And if it means that I have a lot of artwork of unknown characters, that God bless, that's fine. But like, I don't see the point of like drawing any like the Image character, Ripclaw. That was all a lot of fun, but that doesn't promote people's comics.
Right.
I'd like
you
to
should draw the characters of the guests that are on your show.
That's what I really like to do. And if the other guys don't want to do it, that's fine. But I like to do that. So if it's Buzz's, whether I like them or not, I want to draw their character because they're all working hard.
Right.
But at that end, I don't want to have two people on because he was going to have, I think, the Canadian Shield and like Vaughn Coleman, and Vaughn was going to drop out. But so let's say I pick a Vaughn Coleman, but I insulted this poor other guy with his book. I mean, that's not fair. Yeah. So we're going to try to encourage only one person on.
Okay. And Tony, you got anything you want to promote, talk about?
Yeah, Heroic Tales. Everyone, get it. Run, get it.
Yeah, Heroic Tales. It's so much. Issue 2 is so much better. It's a full Patriarch story. The Patriarch delves beneath Science City to rescue an abducted child, and he starts to learn that there's more to meet the eye, even underground. And then Mary Sue starts to learn the nature of superpowers and where they come from, and some fun stuff. And then, guys, I'm not joking. I got Ron Mosicki, who's drawing a Raven story. Renzo is drawing. He'll finish up. Renzo is done with Heroic Tales too. Obviously, the colorist is holding this up. But Renzo is almost done with my 12-page story. That's going to be in somebody else's comic that I'm being purposely squirrely about. I got Fabrizio Aiello is working on a story. It's called The Memoirs of Violet McCready, because me and Fabrizio have to be post-tentious, and there's nothing more post-tentious than that name. It's about Science City before it was Science City. So it's in the Old West, but it's not a Western. If Westerns have to have cowboys and Indians and stuff like that. So it's set in the Old West, but it's not a traditional Western. Back when Science City was a mining town. And I got another person who said, please don't tell anybody until I'm done. So I can't, but I got another person drawing. Oh my God, this character is so good. This story is so good. Well, Marcus knows, but he made me promise.
This was a good idea, I have to say. This was good.
It's so good. And Tonic Mole and Oscar are hard at work on Eddie is Doomed. I've been teasing Eddie is Doomed for a while, but I always knew it was on the back burner because Tonic Mole's got a lot of his own work. And Tonic Mole says, I'm all caught up. And he's chugging out pages for Eddie is Doomed. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I didn't even realize.
I'm. You know what we got to do? I got to ask him. Get Tonic Mole on the studio, and I can draw those giant-breasted characters of his. That would be fun.
There you go.
I'm ready for that, man.
You got to invite him. Get Don. Yeah.
I'll ask him. Maybe I'll DM Tonic Mole. I don't know. I'll ask Don. Oh, Don.
So Tonic Mole is cranking out pages for Eddie is Doomed. So Eddie is the real world character, and Tonic Mole is drawing the real world, and Oscar is drawing the comic book world. It's so good, such a good story.
I don't know.
And then what else do I have? Stippling Vaughn is working on the Printer's Devil.
He shows too much of it on his weekend show, by the way.
If you watch his channel on Sundays, you can see the page.
He got it.
Marcus is drawing I Love a Mystery. And I know
I'm doing this one first, and then we're gonna go to the main one, back to the main one.
Well, the main series is called I Love a Mystery.
That's going to be a while anyway. I'm not that concerned. This is faster. So
I know I got something else. I know I got something else in the back.
DC Miller and Bikini Girl.
Oh, DC Miller's doing Bikini Girl. Yeah, DC Miller he's waiting for his son
That
to
looks
go
like
back
so much
to
fun.
and then he's gonna go back to it. He kind of stopped over. He did 6 pages and then stopped for the summer.
He does fast.
Yeah, and I still think there's something else. And Oscar asked me to write him a story, and then I had this idea for a story that I'm gonna give to Ron after.
Yeah, Tony, you got to come up with a story.
So there you go.
I got to sit down and write again.
Arkham is drawing.
That's right. I forgot about
Greek
Arkham.
mythology based. Like I told him to make it look like Frazetta, but here's the funny thing: he's making it look like Frazetta meets Mobius.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
That's
It's so good. And I realized because I have everything's leading towards something, and I realized that the story, this Greek mythology story, has to be inserted in because it explains something that I realized you need to know in order for the main story to make sense.
Interesting.
So I got all of these stories working out. So I'm hoping. So Heroic
Wow, I
Tales.
don't know how you keep it straight. You had a
So Heroic Tales 1, shipped in November. Heroic Tales 2, I said September, but it looks like it's going to be shipping in October because the colorist is. But it's not still. I could do 2 comics in 1 year, and then after that, the dam's going to break because it's not just Renzo, so I might be able to do a whole bunch of comics in 1 year. So and then I got Renzo is doing the origin of Santa Claus.
Cool.
Yeah,
there you
so
go. I look forward to that one too. That's interesting.
Yeah, so so this, as far as Renzo is finishing up the title that'll be named later. Then he's going to finish the Patriarch, which is going to be about 40 pages of just the Patriarch. And then after that, he's got to do the Mary Sue follow-up, Raven follow-up, and then we'll go right to Santa Claus. So
Wait for the long.
Is it going to have the Krampus?
I'm sorry?
Is it going to have the Krampus?
That'll be a spoiler that I can't tell you. Yes or no.
Okay. All right.
But it's the historical origin of Santa Claus. Because I'm tired. This is going to sound mean, but I'm tired of people of other faiths making up the Christian myths.
Are you tired of the Coca-Cola Santa?
Right.
You know, the traditional
Coca-Cola company makes up Santa Claus. Rankin and Bass are telling us, they're not even Christians, making up the Christian mythologies for kids. So we're going to make up our own Christmas. And no, it's not going to be like Claus. Claus is like hipster doofus Santa Claus. This is.
I saw a Santa Claus cartoon last year. I forgot the name of it. It was really fun.
And
it changed.
This is going to be a biography of Saint Nicholas as told by Odin. Saint Nicholas the Greek. It's going to be a biography of Saint Nicholas the Greek, Bishop of Myrna, as told by Odin, as Odin is conniving to escape his fate in Ragnarok. So that's the
term. Yeah, it sounds interesting, man.
And even though I'm on this weird schedule, I'm still waking up at 6 a.m. because
I know that's how it is.
I'm sleepy. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night. John Dexter.
Okay, great. We'll see you tomorrow.
And that's all.
Thanks, guys.
I'll give spoilers. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.